Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JHR Backstage. It has been roughly 6 months since we recorded our last episode. Veras here and I are college students.
Welcome back.
Yeah, so the end of last semester took up the majority of my time.
Yep.
So I wasn't able to record any further ones with you, both mainline episodes and Backstage episodes.
Yeah.
The main show will be back in time. I already have a episode scheduled to film at the end of August, but
oh, sweet. Careful.
For now, just Backstage will be back to its weekly release schedule.
Yes.
But yeah, we just want to do a quick welcome back as with the 6 month time jump to just talk about what we've been listening to lately. So you can start, Veras, if you'd like.
So I know I've found a few things recently. An artist that I've really been getting into recently is CG5.
Okay.
He's kind of been making his rounds. He's kind of gotten a lot more popular as of recently.
Cool.
And there's a few songs that he released recently that have kind of tickled me a little, where it's one of them is Strangest Thing, which is a song that parodies Stranger Things.
I figured as such.
Yep. And then he made a song called The Bite of 87.
That I think I might have heard.
I think I sent it to you. Yeah. It is one of the funnier meme songs that he has. And they sound really good. And even the meme one, like, he just went he was like, oh, what if like a meme song had like a full production value of an actual song? And it sounds incredible. And then I found another song. I forget who it's by, so I apologize. I forgot the artist. But it's called Mind. And it's pretty short, but it's really good, and it just has a really great beat. And I found it through an Instagram ad.
Okay.
And I'm finding a lot of music through Instagram ads these days because they're learning and always watching. So I found another song I think called like Every Night. But those have been really good, and so I've been just kind of vibing with some of the new songs that I found. And also I want to say it was May. We went to JHR.
Yeah, we did.
We saw them live.
It was May. You were correct.
It was May. I saw their virtual one.
I had seen them once before in person.
Yes. The One Spectacular Night was exactly as the name implied. Mm-hmm. It was an incredible experience, and to see them even virtually was a treat. And then when I went to go see them in person, it was like twice as impressive. Because in the Spectacular Night, like, you can see that they're in a warehouse, like, on a stage, and you're like, oh, well, now I know how they're getting away with a lot of this.
Yep.
But then you see them live, and it's like, holy, they're getting away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That, you just don't see it, and it's really cool. It's very, very impressive. It's a concert and a show.
During the 3 o'clock thing where he's walking with clones of himself holding the boot up.
Yeah.
Like, I love that he just like lets go of the boot and it just crushes the other clones to get rid of it. Like, that was a pretty fun gag. They did the whole treadmill moving background thing the first time I saw them.
Yeah.
But this had completely new visuals to the one that I had seen originally.
Yeah. They did a treadmill one for Spectacular Night as well, but I think it was a rehash of the original one.
It's likely. Yeah, I saw them at the end of the Neo Theater tour.
Yeah.
Originally, OK Orchestra was just starting to be mentioned because Bang had just come out.
Yeah.
At the time that I saw them the first time, Bang was a brand new song.
Yeah. Oh, I love that song.
I do Bang. Absolutely love Bang. But yeah, I strive to have as much energy as that trumpet player did.
Yeah.
That trumpet player was like absolute mood. Like, I wish to have that much like momentum to everything that I do.
It's very impressive to see all the people on there who were playing the instruments or beatboxing or being the Blue Man Group.
I was shocked that they did Joe live and actually had a live beatboxer. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting, even if they did do Joe live, to have like a stage recording of a beatboxer. I didn't expect there to be like an actual live one there on stage.
I didn't know what to expect because like I kind of forgot that was in the song. So then when he came out and started doing it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It was really cool, and I love that. I love that they got like the Blue Man Group there.
We were actually one of like 3 cities that were lucky enough to have them join them. They weren't there for the whole tour. They were just there. I think it was for like 3 shows, and Boston was one of them.
I'm sure it was Boston, Florida, and California because I'm pretty sure
where they're based.
That's where they are. Yeah, because in Florida they have a permanent residency in Universal Studios. They have I think they have their own thing up here, and then I think in Cali they're just the same thing, Universal Studios or something.
Yeah, they're regular guests to like one of the theaters in Boston.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're probably right. I don't remember them off the top of my head. I just remember we were one of the cities lucky enough to have them join AJR.
Awesome. I'm glad that we live here.
The way that they were making it sound, I expected Blue Man Group to have their own set. I thought they were going to be a second opener. I didn't know they were just literally there just to do Ordinary-ish People and then leave. I
remember reading the thing where it was like oh, it's AJR, the Blue Man Group, and like Gail, which
she was something.
She was there. She did exist, and she did play songs. She was probably one of the most musicians ever. But nothing against her. It's just not my thing. But it was just one of those things where like I was reading those things, and I was like, I feel like AJR could play a full show. They I don't think they would need an opener.
Oh, they definitely don't. It's just customary.
Sure. So I was like, oh, maybe they want to have an opener, and then they had the opener. And then when the show started, I was like, okay, so they're going to have like the Blue Man Group come in for that song and then leave, because to be honest with you, that reeks Blue Man Group energy, just to be like, hey, how's it going? All right, see you later. I'm like, okay. But it was incredible, and they did a fantastic job.
Well, so they announced that the Blue Man Group was going to be joining them on like tour dates through the Ordinary-ish People video that they did.
Yep.
Which that video in of itself is great. Did you watch it?
I don't know if I've seen it yet.
So it's them on a stage performing Ordinary-ish People, and like there's all these crowd noises and stuff, so it makes it sound like they recorded it live, or at least in front of a bunch of people. But then at the very end of the video, it zooms out, and it's just Adam's phone playing the crowd noises on the side of the stage, and they're playing to an empty sound stage.
That's awesome. I love that.
And then at the end, it just goes, "We've heard your calls. Blue Man Group joining in on Boston and one of the other 2." So like the way that they announced that made it sound like they were going to be performing on those tour dates. Yeah. So like I was expecting that, but then right after Gail left and they put up the button, I was like, oh, I think that's just AJR. Not that I want more AJR. I'd prefer that over a performance of the Blue Man Group, if we're going to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
I want as much AJR as possible.
Yeah.
But I was surprised.
I was surprised. Like, I mean, I should have known, but I'm still kind of new to how concerts work because I haven't gone to as many as you have. But when they ended in quotes, and then came back later, we already started leaving, obviously.
You're definitely not versed in concerts then.
Of course I'm not.
I love that tweet that's been going around that's like, bands coming back for an encore is like the adult version of Peekaboo. And I love that so much.
I kind of like, I don't know, part of me was like, that seems like an odd end for something as big as this. But we were like, oh, well, we'll start heading out. And then they started playing again, and we were lucky enough to be able to stop.
Run back to your seats.
We didn't even get back to our seats. We actually stood in the wheelchair section.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There was no one there, so it was fine. Yeah. But like there were like guards like telling people like, oh, you can't stay here, you gotta move, you gotta move. And then so like we were like kind of we shuffled a little bit away from them, and then they like looked at us and they went like this and chauffeured us into the wheelchair area. And I was like, yeah, that was...
Well, because, the only reason they don't want you idling is they don't want to build up traffic on the path. So if you step off onto the side of the path where you're not in anybody's way, it's a lot easier.
Well, we were in the wheelchair area, and then they tried to get us out. And then we stood in the area, and they were like, okay, fine, come back. And they moved us back. So it's just one of those things where I was lucky enough to see the end. Excuse me, and I'm really glad that I did. Because when Jack... Right, I'm still learning their names. Jack, he talked about like his mental health stuff.
Yeah,
and it was interesting too because I forget which song it was, or it might just be OK Orchestra in general, or just their music in general. but they were like, he kind of explained like what stuff he goes through on a mental health basis and like all this stuff and like OCD and anxiety. And I was like, oh, no wonder I love your music so much, because I have the same exact issues. I have anxiety issues. I have really horrible OCD issues. And so it was funny that when you showed me to them, I was like, oh, man, yeah, this music is great. Man, I wonder why I connect with this so much. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, that's probably why.
I think it's also worth noting that Jack is only like a couple years older than us.
There's that, too. Yeah.
I think he's only like a year or two older than us.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's very close. He understands a lot of things that like our generation is going through at our age. Us Zoomers.
That new song that they just officially announced will be on Spotify July 29th. I'm very excited because that new song that they played, the I Won't, is going to hands down be my favorite JHR song ever. I adore that song and cannot wait for it to hit streaming services so I can just stampede right through and just repeat that thing for days.
I have to listen to it again. But I liked it, but like, it was all right.
I just love that chorus. That's fine. Verses or whatever. The chorus is like one of their better ones, in my opinion.
I have to listen to it again.
It was really funny on the way to the concert, on the way to like Xfinity.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, who's the opener again? Like I couldn't remember because the tour pre-pandemic they were touring with Hobo Joe.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, maybe it's Hobo Joe again because he was on the original leg. And then, so I looked it up on Ticketmaster and it was Gail. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of her.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, so usually when I don't know the opener, I pull them up on Spotify and see what like their biggest songs are. When I opened her Spotify and it was the ABCD song that was famous on TikTok, I was in the car with my girlfriend and my parents and I was like, ugh. And they're like, what? I was like, you're not going to want to see this.
There were a lot of people who were like, oh, I'm here specifically for Gail. And
you're lying.
I was like, you paid that much just to see her? Like, I mean, I'm glad you support your artist, but like...
Yeah, I've never really understood paying a ton of money just to see the opener.
Yeah.
I mean, I have done it before. Yeah. Although, theoretically... I usually, like, most of the shows that I do that, I usually stay for at least one of the headliners.
Yeah,
It's usually the ones where there's, like, two headliners where I don't care about the last one, so I just leave after the first one.
I didn't know JHR made the band name Here shirts.
Here shirt? Oh, yeah.
Band's name Here, yeah.
Well, no, it's the band name.
Yeah.
Is the name of the shirt. Because in the Don't Throw Out My Legos, he says, people want shirts with the band name on it. Oh. So it's a literal shirt that says the band name.
That's really funny.
And I would have definitely gotten one, except the fact that they were like $40 and I could make that in Redbubble in 2 seconds and buy my own for $14.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, I bought the sweater.
Did you?
The gray sweater, with the gold on it.
I didn't really look at the merch because I didn't really have the money to be enticed by any merch. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
And then Dan got the mint green one.
Nice.
And I was like, that does not suit you. It was a good shirt, though. Cool, very cool shirt designs. Very nice.
But yeah, going back to your encore point, encores are a typical thing in concert going experiences.
I know that they are, but like I'm not used to it in the sense of like when I'm at the concert, my brain's like, oh, it's over. It's time to leave. Like, it's not ingrained in my head to be like, well, hold on a second, because you know that they're going to come back. Because my brain's like, I got to get out of here as soon as possible because all these people are going to be rioting, so I got to get out of here. So when they came back, my brain was like, oh yeah, you idiot. Of course they came back. Like, first of all, they didn't push the button. Second of all, it's JHR. And third of all, this is like going to see a band 101.
Yeah. Well, so you can bring with this to your future concerts that you ever see. Yeah. The general rule of thumb is it ain't over till the house lights are up.
That was another thing too. So I was like, oh, the house lights. Well, yeah, no, because the house lights didn't go on.
Yeah.
So I was like, something's wrong here. Well, I think one of the biggest issues was my first concert, I think, that I ever went to. Or actually, it might have been... No, I think it was
NSP, one. Right?
Yeah. It was the NSP one. It was I believe it was called the Rock Hard Tour. And what a great name. And the problem with that tour is that I didn't learn that because my friend
threw
up. So he threw up. He freaked the barista, excuse me.
I think you talked about that in an earlier episode.
I probably did. But just to recap for anybody who's new here, I had a friend, very dehydrated, because we were at the House of Blues. The place was packed, and we had to like stand the whole time. We were on the second balcony. This is just a hint and tip to all the bands out there. Don't play there. Just don't. I don't like the venue very much.
I don't like the House of Blues at all.
It's a bad venue. But anyway, the point is that they were just very dehydrated. And so he uked into a trash can behind the bar stand, and the barista freaked out, and she was like doing like this. She was like cowering. I know you guys can't see me, but she was like covering like her face and stuff with like her arms because she was freaked out. Because I'm sure that she was worried that like he was underage drinking or was on drugs or something. Because she literally was like, "Is that kid on drugs?" And I literally looked at her straight in the face and went, "No, he's just dehydrated."
They're probably so
sick.
used to it at those venues though that they have to ask.
No, I get that, but it was like she was so like freaked out, and I was like, "It's fine. He's just dehydrated and or just feeling sick." So what ended up happening? Security escorted us to like an exit area where he got access to like the cold air and like water, and we sat there for the rest of the concert, and we just listened to the music. And then when it ended, everyone was leaving in front of us. So I didn't technically get to see the end of that one.
Well, because most people do leave before the encore to avoid the traffic.
Well, they didn't start again.
Oh, they didn't?
No.
Okay, yeah.
So, or if they did, I didn't hear it. But it was just like, and then like, I don't think Weird Al did an encore when we went.
No, I can't remember if he did or didn't.
I don't think he did.
It's such an ingrained part of my concert going experience that it doesn't even register when they do or don't.
Yeah, I don't think he did. So it's like I've had more experiences where they don't than they do. And I don't think they did it the small concert we went to.
Smaller bands don't usually.
I mean, it makes sense.
Because smaller bands...
especially in that venue, there was no way you're going to be able to leave and come back.
Not to offend smaller bands, but most smaller bands don't have the credibility of doing encores. Right. So, like, if they left, most people would just leave.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, but... so, yeah, like 90% of my concert experiences have just been, like, they leave and it's done.
For future reference, not that you would have even thought of this when it was happening, because it's obviously like one of those experiences where you're just focused on the experience, but most concert venues, including the House of Blues, give free water out. Like if you just go out to the bar and be like, "Hey, can I get a glass of ice water?" They can't say no.
I'm sure. Like Weird Al had free water. Like all these places have free water.
All the big fancy ones have like self-serve pumps.
Sure. But I mean, it was just one of those things where like it was my first one. I didn't know that he was like
that dehydrated.
I didn't know it was really that bad, and so like it was just it's a live and learn thing where like someone's like, "I don't feel so good." I'm like, "Let's get you water then," because I mostly see like shows or comedians, and when they're done, they're done. Yeah. So it's just like, but I'll take that with me into the future. Yeah.
All venues give out free water. And it ain't over till the house lights are up.
Exactly.
Those are two, like...
ingrained rules.
Ingrained things.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And another fun one to think about is if you don't want to put on your merch shirt, or you do and want to take off the shirt you're wearing so you don't overheat, which is very likely, especially in indoor venues. Your belt loop, just bunch up the shirt and, like, worm it, if you will, and then just, like, through the belt loop, and then it holds in the belt loop all night, and you don't have to carry it. You don't have to worry about it. If you do it right, it won't fall out easily, or if you have tight enough belt loops. That's another concert going tip.
That's fair. I don't usually run into that issue because I either have a backpack or I just wear two shirts. Yeah. JHR was nice because it was kind of cold.
Yeah. So it did get pretty cold by the end of the night.
Yeah. So I was able to wear the sweater,
which is weird for me. But
yeah, I mean it's Massachusetts, right?
Fair enough.
So,
but in a few weeks after that, I saw Motion City Soundtrack at the House of Blues. Speaking of the House of Blues.
Oh, great. How was that?
That was actually the venue, whatever. The actual show itself, fantastic.
That's good.
So this was the 17th anniversary of Commit This to Memory.
Oh, wow.
Because the original show was scheduled for 2020.
Yeah.
And then it got pushed to 2021. Yeah. And then it got pushed to 2022. So what started as the 15th anniversary of the album then became the 17th anniversary of the album.
I kind of love when bands do that.
And what's really funny, even better, and I have the shirt that immortalizes it now, every time they had to push it back, they would change the tour poster.
Oh, just cross
and they would
it
just
out.
cross out. So it crossed out the 15 and put a 16, and then it crossed out the 16 and put a 17 underneath it.
That's funny.
But so in honor of the 17th anniversary, they played the entire album front to back.
Oh.
And then they left the stage and then proceeded to come back and play another hour and some change of their other hits.
Yeah. JHR did like the same thing. They played for like another half an hour to an hour.
But it was fantastic. And Justin Pierre, I love you, but your live vocals aren't fantastic. But what you don't have for live vocals, you 100% make up for in energy. That is one of the highest energy concerts I've ever been to.
Wow.
AJR being the first.
Yeah.
But Motion City Soundtrack being a very close second. Wow. Like the whole room was just like energy.
Yeah,
And it was great hearing the entire album front to back, because like there's a couple songs in that album you would never hear them play otherwise because they're forgotten songs off that album.
Right.
I think that's the one I've shown you. Motion City Soundtrack's another one that I've like shown you a couple songs of, but nothing like too big.
Right.
But yeah, I would absolutely see some Motion City Soundtrack again. Anytime they come back around. I'm happy. This was their reunion tour too. They haven't toured together since 2015.
Oh, okay.
So this was their reunion tour too. So I was happy to see them on that as well.
Yeah. I went to, I think it was 2021. I went to Anamanaguchi.
Oh yeah, that show that finally happened, because it was kind of up in the air if it would or not.
Oh yeah, that was supposed to happen in 2020, and then guess what happened? You'll never guess. So what had happened is they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do a show for Anamanaguchi," and I believe they ended up doing it it was either earlier this year or like late last year. But I ended up going with, it was me, my brother, and a friend and a few of his friends that were there, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
For like a smaller band, they had some incredible like effects. They had like these like bars, and like they had like these screens and like these weird poles with like screens on them.
That's
and stuff.
cool.
They had screens like everywhere playing stuff the whole show. It was really cool. And then to end it, they played a cover of Hopes and Dreams from Undertale.
Oh,
which was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And then they released it like a few days later. They're like, oh yeah, here's that song we played. And I was like, that's awesome. And then literally like a few months later, they're like, by the way, we're touring again, but this time with the Scott Pilgrim game soundtrack. And I was like, wow, if I didn't just see you, I would have went to that one. But because like if any of you know me, which I'm sure a lot of you do because this is local, but if any of you know me, I love Scott Pilgrim so much. And so when they were like, oh, we're going to tour with the Scott Pilgrim game soundtrack, I was like,
that would be grounds enough for me to see them again.
I know. I was like, I do want to see that, but I just saw you, so I'm gonna say no this time.
I saw Green Day 2 times in a 4-month period.
Which is fair. I personally was like, I just saw them. Like, I'll take a break. But like, I kind of regret it, but at the same time, like, whatever.
I think I saw In This Moment 3 times in like 6 months.
Jesus.
Because there was a period of time where they were like on the rise, and they were the opener to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like they opened to everything because they were like the hot band at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm no stranger to seeing bands multiple times in a short period of time.
No, that's fair. But it was just like, I was like, I wish they had done anything during the show that I saw them at, but I understand. But yeah, no, but it was cool because like Scott Pilgrim was celebrating an anniversary, but it was weird because again with COVID, so I think I have like a shirt that says like 16th anniversary or something on it because of COVID, so it's like kind of similar to like the 17th thing that you were talking about with Motion City.
What's really funny on my shirt specifically is that they took all the dates off the tour dates. Like it just is a list of cities in order. They don't have no dates on them anymore. I think it's because if it had to be pushed back again, they didn't have to reprint anything.
That's smart.
Because that was even like the show was originally supposed to be in the first week of January.
Yeah,
and then it got pushed again to June.
Yeah.
So yeah, the tour shirt has no dates on it, just the city names, and I think that's just so they didn't have to reprint it again if they had to keep pushing it.
That is smart. That is very smart. Yeah.
But in our last couple minutes here, I didn't even get a chance to talk about what I've been listening to because we went off into a tangent. No. Honestly, that's the fun of this podcast. Is I like just getting into our tangents.
True.
They're way more fun.
It's true. What have you been listening to, James?
Yeah, recently the three biggest things I've been listening to is Harry Styles' new album. Wow. I thoroughly enjoy it. I was not a Harry Styles fan before, and I was not a One Direction fan before. In fact, I probably wouldn't have even been exposed to this album at all if it had not been for my girlfriend, who was interested in it when it first came out, and we had bought it while we were on vacation and had listened to it that whole time, and I fell in love with it. You should listen to it if you haven't. Which honestly, it's Harry Styles. How could you have not by now?
I don't know any of his music.
Yeah, the only thing you probably would have heard just through Instagram is As It Was. Because As It Was is just everywhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
All I know is that everyone's like, oh, Harry Styles. And I'm like, who is this man? And then, I think this year I learned he used to be in One Direction.
Oh, he was the lead singer of One Direction.
See, I didn't know that. I listened to One Direction. I listened to one song from One Direction. Yeah. But I was I had no idea it was from One Direction until this year. Someone might have mentioned it to me, but I forgot. But everyone kept saying oh, Harry Styles, this guy. I'm like, who is this man and what is his music? Because everyone kept saying his name, but no one was playing me his ding dang music.
You probably heard a lot of his music from his second album, which was his big solo break. Was the second album, The Fine Line, with the song primarily Watermelon Sugar.
Okay, that's fun.
That's the biggest one off of that album, and then this one destroyed charts.
Wow.
With As It Was and Music for a Sushi Restaurant and
that's
and stuff like that. Yeah, no, that's the first track, and it's great.
I love that.
One of the most recent other loves too that I've been listening to is Panic at the Disco's newest song, Viva Las Vengeance.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. I haven't listened to it yet.
Very good. Yeah. It took a few listens for me to fully grasp it. I didn't really like it when I first listened to it because it's definitely a different sound for them.
Yeah.
It's different from both their early era and their most modern era. It's a completely new sound for Panic.
Aren't they touring soon?
Yeah, and I'm going to see them. I'm going to see them in September.
That's what
in TD Garden. Yeah, I think the tour actually starts next month, but the Boston tour date's around September.
Okay.
But I'm excited for that. And as of the date of this recording, not that I like to typically date recordings that much, but as of this morning, they released the second single off of the new album that's coming out in August. Middle of a Breakup, I think it was called, or something along those lines. I have not listened to it yet, but I will and report back to you guys probably in a future episode.
All these episodes date themselves because we have to talk about specific
modern stuff.
Dates,
yeah,
so it's fine.
Well, a couple of our episodes we go off on tangents that are completely unrelated to modern news, but I usually do talk about some form of modern news.
Yeah.
Speaking of modern news, too, we had Census Fail's new album came out a couple days ago, and I forgot about it.
Oh.
And that shows you how much that album made an impact on me. Because I opened my Spotify notifications to see what had come out recently, and it was oh, Hell Is In Your Head by Census Fail. I was like, oh, yeah, that was a thing that was coming out this month. It was okay. It was just okay. Oh. It was better than their last album, in my personal opinion. And it had one really good song that was already the single that I've talked about in a previous JHR episode in one of the album review corners. And it was I'm Sorry I'm Leaving. I like the chorus of that more than I like anything else from it. But yeah, I appreciated that this album had more song structure to it.
Yeah.
The last album felt like he was just kind of saying words to music.
Right.
This one felt like he had a little bit more rhythm and structure to the songs he was singing, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But I was listening to it in the car, and eight tracks went by, and I was like, oh, I've already listened to 8 tracks. It feels like maybe 3 at the most. They a lot of them sound identical to each other, and that they might separate the more I listen to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much I will actually go back to it.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah. I want to give honorable mention, by the way, to Matt Watson.
Yep.
If you listen to Ouch.
No, I didn't know he did. Does he do music?
Yes.
Okay.
Ouch, his latest album, is
that's an album.
good.
It's not even a song.
No, it's an album.
Okay.
It's really good.
All right.
He has a single called Bored, which is also incredible that I have on loop a lot.
I wasn't aware he did music, so I'm going to have to check that out.
It was kind of like I saw he released Ouch, and I was like, oh, he's doing music now. That's cool. And then I think Bored came out before or after, but Bored is really good. That one's a single, and then Ouch is a very, very good album.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it to you and to everybody else listening. It is very good.
Well, and on that positive note, we'll wrap up today's episode.
Yes.
I'm going to listen to Ouch because I like Matt Watson as a comedian.
Oh,
I didn't know that he did music.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next week, I suppose.
Yes, we will. See you guys later.
Peace.